From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, reporting from ABC News election headquarters in New York.
Yes, this is what it looks like. This is our election home, away from home, for the next 24, perhaps 36 hours. It all works. We hope you'll be with us for the duration. This is the final day. You may think it's taken forever to get here. Perhaps you can hardly wait to turn on your television set and not be confronted by a politician or a pundit or a pollster. Our latest state-by-state poll, by the way, confirms that while the gap has narrowed between Mr. Bush and Mr. Clinton, for President Bush, the last hurdle is very high, and we'll have the details. For every politician in the country who's in a close race, the next 24 hours will seem like an eternity. Between them, Mr. Bush and Mr. Clinton will visit 14 states before they call it quits tomorrow. We're going to begin tonight with the Bush campaign, and here's ABC's Britt Hume.
George Bush today spent his last day as a presidential candidate appealing to the voters of 6 crucial states to help him win an improbable but still not impossible victory tomorrow.
So now we go. The last day I will ever campaign for myself for President of the United States or anything else.
That was in New Jersey early this morning. From there, he pushed on to a rain-swept rally in Pennsylvania, followed by an audience with the Cardinal of Philadelphia, a gesture to the state's large Catholic vote. In Ohio, it was an airport rally with a postcard view of Air Force One as the backdrop. Then it was on to Louisville, Kentucky, with later stops to come in Louisiana and Texas. He had no new message for voters today, just a summation of the case he's made for weeks.
Here's what it's about. The choice before the American people is the vast difference in experience, a vast difference in philosophy, and yes, a vast difference in character. Character matters.
If he doubted he could win, he didn't show it. He just kept moving, though he did pause long enough to change his suit. In Ohio, a local official told him he was ahead there.
We get this, we'll be all right. Good. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
His aides claim he's ahead in Ohio, too, but some polls say otherwise, and it would take more than Ohio to pull Mr. Bush through this time. He needs not only to carry the states where he's campaigning today and tonight, but also to hold somehow the traditional Republican base, or most of it, in the South and the Mountain West, and that includes states where our polls show Governor Clinton remains ahead. Peter?
Well, Britt, it's perhaps the night for a bit of nostalgia anyway. As you look back over the campaign, what do you remember most about it?
Well, what struck me most about this campaign, the Bush campaign, was really how long it took to get started. The president had a challenger, you'll recall, in the Republican primary season. He was loath to come out swinging against him, and then when that fight was all over with, he waited a very long time, indeed, until after the Republican convention to begin to take on his eventual opponent, who was known throughout the whole summer. And by that time, it struck many, the president had been ill-defined, as he put it, by his opponent. And it must have been difficult, and indeed it appears to have been very difficult for him to overcome that.
Okay, Britt, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Governor Clinton plans to campaign right on through the night into mid-morning tomorrow. That's the day, says the governor, when the great mystery of democracy, as he put it, will be played out. Here's ABC's Chris Bury.
Early this morning, after only 3 hours sleep, Bill Clinton began the last and longest day of his campaign at a Philadelphia diner. Clinton is campaigning around the clock, even though he believes he will win, and in spite of a voice that's been beaten into a raspy whisper.
And if I work all day long, maybe that will increase the likelihood that the people that are supporting our ticket will vote tomorrow in large numbers.
Over 29 hours, Clinton is set to address 9 airport rallies in 8 states holding 126 electoral votes. The idea is to get Clinton on the local news one last time in states like Ohio, where the election is expected to be close.
Teddy Roosevelt once said that we should walk softly and carry a big stick. Today I want to talk softly and carry Ohio.
In Ohio and wherever he went today, Clinton came back to the core theme of his campaign.
We must have a new economic policy, invest in our jobs, control our health care costs, provide education to all of our people, and we can be the greatest country in the world forever.
Clinton took care not to attack either the president or Ross Perot to avoid alienating undecided voters. Above all, Clinton exuded confidence. In Cleveland, he introduced Hillary as the next First Lady, and in Detroit, he seemed to be looking past the election.
We're going up together. It won't be easy, but we can do it if tomorrow Michigan leads the way. Thank you.
In the last few days, the mood of this campaign has bounced around with the polls.
But now Clinton's top aides sense a growing certainty that they're headed for a big electoral college victory, even though they're too superstitious to talk about it much. Peter?
Chris, there have been a lot of turning points for Governor Clinton throughout the year. What's the one that you remember most?
The most striking thing to me was the week right after the Democratic convention. Even though the bus tour, the first bus tour, was a bit gimmicky, thousands of people lined the roads, it was the first sense we had that both the themes of the Democratic convention and the ticket, Clinton and Gore together, were beginning to catch on.
Okay, Chris, thanks very much. See you tomorrow night as well. Chris Bury with the Clinton campaign. No cross-country barnstorming tour for Mr. Perot on this last day. Just one rally in his hometown, and ABC's Mort Dean is in Dallas.
In the arena where the hometown Dallas Mavericks play basketball, the hometown political Maverick failed to fill the house. The lunchtime crowd was unexpectedly small, but wildly enthusiastic.
Okay, are you ready to put this country back to work?
At 4 well-attended rallies over the weekend, Perot had intensified his attacks on George Bush and Bill Clinton. But generally today, he lowered the decibel level somewhat.
You've got two guys running for president that don't know how to create jobs, don't know how to manage money, don't know how to build businesses.
Still, there was a hard shot at Clinton.
The question is the chicken man the best qualified man?
Today he was Perot the candidate and Perot the entertainer, playfully ridiculing those who say his quest for the presidency is crazy.
And we want to close on our theme song. Let's hit it, Ed.
We're crazy. Crazy for feeling.
It was a very different kind of rally, ending a very different kind of campaign.
We're crazy.
It's a campaign that cost at least $60 million to Mr. Perot, perhaps as much as $100 million. And Peter, $100 million is about the interest he receives on his yearly investments.
Mort, I have the same kind of question for you as I did for our colleagues. What do you remember most as you look back?
Well, I think I remember most the amount of time that Mr. Perot spent in a television studio and how little time he spent out on the stump doing what he did today. I think it's, historically speaking, the first truly television campaign in presidential history, and I think we'll remember it, or at least talk about it for a long time to come.
And despite the public confidence about his campaign, do you think he's basically going to settle for the affection of his supporters, not for victory?
Well, I think the kind of affection he received over the weekend and today in Dallas, even though it was a disappointingly small crowd, was very, very important to him.
Okay, Mort, thanks very much. Mort Dean. Now, as we said on a number of occasions, this election is fought and will be won on a state-by-state basis for electoral votes. And as I said at the beginning, we've just completed another survey of more than 9,000 likely voters in all 50 states, plus the District of Columbia. Like the national polls, it shows the race getting somewhat tighter than it was in our first survey 10 days ago. 270 electoral votes are needed to win the presidency. Let's take a look. 10 days ago, President Bush was clearly ahead in no states, but he was leading in states with 18 electoral votes. Today, our survey puts him clearly ahead in states with a total of 41 electoral votes and leading in states with another 40. 10 days ago, Governor Clinton was clearly ahead in states with 261 electoral votes and leading in states with another 47. Today, that number is down. Mr. Clinton is clearly ahead in states with 104 electoral votes, but he is leading in states with 191 more. Ross Perot is not leading anywhere. There are another 162 electoral votes in states which are rated toss-ups. So Mr. Bush's task is clear. To stay in office, he must win all of the states where he leads, all the toss-up states, and take, as you heard him allude to tonight, a couple of the big states where Clinton now leads. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Dimetapp.
When I get a cold, I see a doctor. I'm married to one. My wife recommends Dimetapp Extend-Tabs.
Doctors have recommended the Dimetapp brand over 200 million times. Adult-strength Extend-Tabs relieve your cold symptoms for 12 hours with one of the least sedating non-prescription antihistamines.
My wife is a doctor, so I can really trust what she tells me.
Doctors recommend Dimetapp for their families and yours. For 4-hour cold relief, try new Dimetapp Liquid Gels.
And she's lucky, because today she'll encounter egrets doing dances and alligators in the wild. She'll see how other moms take care of their kids. And she'll be doing this, recycling, through a program of the National Park Service and its recycling partner, Dow.
We can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Together with the National Park Service and folks like Sarah.
Dow lets you do great things.
Well, in the last several days, you haven't heard too much talk about the Congress, but you will surely recall throughout the campaign, President Bush has spent a lot of time trying to convince the public that what the country needs is a new Congress, one with more balance between Democrats and Republicans at least, or certainly more Republicans, which means a lot of incumbents would have to lose. It may very well happen, it may not. ABC's Cokie Roberts is in Texas.
After 20 years in Congress, Democrat Charlie Wilson is running scared. He's pounding the highways of East Texas, begging for campaign contributions.
Mullet, this is Wilson. How you doing? I need some money.
To win re-election, Wilson's using all the tools of an incumbent to tip the scales in his favor, claiming credit for bringing jobs to the district.
We produced hundreds of defense-oriented jobs.
And federal grants.
We were able to announce $8 million worth of federal grants for Sam Houston State University this afternoon, which made me very happy.
Taking care of constituents.
Now, they say Charlie Wilson's the life of the party, no matter where he is. But when it comes to our Social Security, Charlie's all business.
Look good. Y'all look great.
Despite his playboy image in this Bible Belt district, Wilson's always sailed to easy victories in the past. Because of widespread outrage at Congress this year, it may not be so easy. In East Texas, as elsewhere, voters are listening to challengers calling for change.
Hi, good to see you.
In Wilson's case, the voice of change is Republican Donna Peterson. Like many challengers, she's found ways to balance the advantages of incumbency. She's playing up anti-Washington sentiment.
We are looking at putting 140 new faces into the House of Representatives and into the Senate.
Appealing to new voters brought in by redistricting.
The 4 new counties that we've added are almost a blessing sometimes to go into. He hasn't done anything for the folks in those districts.
Reminding people of Wilson's 81 overdrafts at the House Bank.
It's lifestyles of the rich incumbents. Fat cat congressmen who waste your tax dollars traveling the world.
In some states, and Texas is one of them, another unknown factor could weigh against incumbents this year. The rage against politics as usual, stirred up by Ross Perot, could make his voters go against anyone holding office, all the way down the line. Cokie Roberts, ABC News, Lufkin, Texas.